Google absolutely crushed earnings. If you want to know what your favorite tech stocks are likely to do overnight into tomorrow, this is the video for you. Things are looking great in the stock market. I explained to my students and here on YouTube that we likely found a bottom when SPY hit 460, 470. Everything is rigged, and I'm going to explain why, and then we're going to touch base on what stocks are likely to do. But first, huge announcement. For the first time ever, I am hosting a free masterclass on volatility and hedging positions in a down market and how to position yourself for when the reversal happens, which we're in the middle of right now. It is straight out of my Discord and exclusive elite coaching. So you guys are going to get a taste of that for the first time ever in tomorrow's webinar, Friday, April 25th, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Very limited spots remain. Links in the information box below. I'm going to see you there, right? See you tomorrow. So today we have Google's earnings, which has gone very well. They beat the expectations and they crushed EPS. They crushed revenue, and Google is bringing the whole market up. Now, the issue here is that everything was pretty much rigged. And I've told you guys this from the beginning that all of this was rigged. I had it in YouTube videos last summer. If you look through all my videos, you will hear it. You will find it. If you were in the webinars, you will remember as well that I told you there. I told my students every single week the same thing in Discord. They have to bring in $7 trillion. When Donald Trump won the election, the stock market exploded. That was against the plan. Now they can't buy in cheap. 3 dovish members on the Fed committee were replaced by hawkish members. Then the market continued to run decently in December. Not a good thing for them because they want to get their money in. So they had to start with the tariff talk and start tanking the market. You might be thinking, Corey, this doesn't make any sense. How could this happen? Well, it gets more interesting because after the tariff talk continued, the markets tanked. Then Trump put out a tweet or a post on Truth Social that said now's a good time to buy. 3 hours later, he paused tariffs. The market runs. And then more bad tariff news comes out, brings the market back down. They buy in more money. And then guess what happens? Buy gold. Great time to buy gold. It flies. The market continues to go down. They're trying to beat the market up. They really did try to get this market as low as they could, and it would not go any lower. So now they backpedal on the tariffs, which was likely planned. And Trump's advisors said that they can't have a sustainable tariff war with China. And it's likely China was in on it. Obviously, we don't have any proof of this, but likely they already had an agreement where tariffs were going to be. And now they're rolling back to that number, saying it's not going to be zero, but it's going to be low. And now the markets are running. We've already crossed over and reversed the death cross. 10 and 20 crossed up, and they crossed over the 20-day and the 100-day moving average. Everything is moving back up. 50 has crossed over the 100, and they've crossed over the 200 on a lot of stocks. I'm going to show you guys that on the chart. Everything is completely reversing. Higher highs, higher lows, and we've broken out of the downtrend. I'll show you that as well. But I really want to explain to you guys why this is manipulated. It's all about expectations. If I tell you you're going to make $1,000 and you make $2,000, you're excited. If I tell you you're going to make $3,000 and you make $2,000, same number, you're upset. Why is this? Expectation. If Trump would have put 20% or 30% basis tariffs on China and said that's the agreement we came up with, then the market would have tanked the same way, very similar to what it did, and it would have taken months, if not years, to recover, and who knows what would have happened. So in turn, what happened is big money, big institutions, along with advisors to the White House, they figured out what we're going to do is just raise tariffs to 150%. We're going to make it sound illogical. It's going to be pandemonium, crazy. We're going to tank the market. We'll get our money in. $5 trillion of the $7 trillion came in a few weeks back. Is that an accurate number? We don't know, but a lot of money went into the market. And not only that, the market's now back up. So essentially what they did was they put out these ridiculous tariffs at 150% on China. They started off with 50 and worked their way up, and it sounded so ridiculous. And now when they backpedal and retract back to a normal number of 20%, the markets fly. It's all psychology. How can you use fear-mongering information and bad news to bring a market down, but then have the recovery in order to bring it back up? It's simple. Under promise, over deliver. We're going to do 200% tariffs. And then a few weeks later, after you buy everything up, we're just going to do 20%. Now the market flies. 20% seems like a gift. 10% seems like a gift. Very high probability, almost for sure, that China and Trump have already come up with a deal a month ago, 3 weeks ago. This was all planned. It's all rigged. slippage, stop loss hunting, witch hunt through the stock market, people getting margin called out and 401ks getting crushed. And now the market is almost back to where it was in August, September of last year. We're working our way right back up to pre-election levels. And in some stocks, higher. So all of this is rigged. I don't buy any other analogy or story on it. It's very much manipulated. They know what they're doing. They know how to force the market down and get people out. And a lot of people suffered, and I sympathize with that. And I told everyone in my Discord, do not sell these losing positions on good stocks. Everything will be okay. And I went personally from negative $350, almost $400,000 to now it's only like negative 60,000. So I've got back all those losses. And by tomorrow with Google and everything how it's working out right now, I'll likely be very close to break even tomorrow at no loss or very little. My small account had $130,000 in losses. And now that account's only about 60,000. That was before Google's run. So tomorrow, likely it's going to be slimmed down to like 40 or less. That means 60 to 70% of the losses are back. That's how much money you would have lost if you would have got margin called, stop lossed out, or had sold. Think about that. They're forcing you and scaring you to sell, which creates more downward pressure, which hits stop losses, more downward pressure, and gets you margin called, more downward pressure. This is how they sunk the market. And now they're bringing it right back up. And not only that, the dark pool data shows it. All options for April were bearish and May are bullish. And guess what? I told you in previous YouTube videos just a few weeks ago and a month ago, quite a few videos actually, that it was looking like in the wedge that between the middle to end of April, we were at the end of the wedge, right into the beginning of May, which lines up with dark pool data. I showed you that in previous videos back about a month ago. And I explained this to my students in Discord. So I want to explain to you guys what I would do. Typically, when a stock does really good, like Google has just done, you'll find a little bit of a pullback in the overnight hours. So the stock could come up a little bit more, pull back a little bit more here, and then sell off in the morning a bit for people taking profits. And then right as the bell opens or shortly after, start running like that. So Google will end up pushing into the 170, 175 range potentially. It could drop back and consolidate back into the 162, 165. That's also possible. The same way it's also possible it could just straight run. But I mean, these are the three scenarios. I would pick these two over it pulling back because the market is already oversold and we're recovering and Google crushed earnings. It's unlikely that Google will fall below 165 or 162 range unless people start massively taking profits all at one time because they fear the market and its future. And if tariff talk gets really bad in the next day or two, that could have an effect. But otherwise, this is a really good deal based on future guidance, based on earnings. This is really good. In fact, earnings was so good on Google that it actually brought Microsoft up $2 after hours, and it brought Meta up $23. So tomorrow, the stock market, in my opinion, is looking like it is going to rip. The earnings was good, which means Microsoft's earnings next week are likely to be good, and so are Meta's. So this is the reason why this is really big, and I highly recommend right now taking some positions and being safe and dollar cost averaging. Right now would be a good time to open up some leap options on Meta, Microsoft, and Google, or buy some shares. You could sell some puts. Specifically, if I was selling puts on Meta, I would go 510 or 500, maybe 520, very, very safe. Microsoft, if I was going to sell some puts, I would do like 380 going into next week, which is what I would do. May 2nd, I would do 385 or 380, which is pretty safe. And if you're going to do Google, it's too late. Google's already had earnings. If you want to do SPY, I would sell some put options on SPY, maybe 530. Very good price to get into SPY. I sold 567s, got assigned, but my basis and cost average is 553 because I made thousands of dollars on puts. So I'm just about at break even now on SPY. Everything is looking really good, and I highly recommend looking at getting some form of position in Microsoft and Meta because I think it's going to rip, Microsoft being the safer of the two because Meta also has that lawsuit. Essentially, when we gauge the stock market right now, we are clearly out of a downtrend. You can see this downtrend started back in February, and you see it comes all the way down, and this even bigger downtrend we broke out of right here. But to keep things very simple, we're going to go to the 4-hour chart. So here's a line in the downtrend. And I'm going to put this on that top candle where it started selling off right there. That's pretty accurate. And you want to touch the previous candles, which would be right here. I like to do bodies, not wicks. So officially, this is the consolidation period. This is the breakout. We are actually breaking out of this downtrend. This is a 4-hour candle, which is even stronger than the previous one. As long as SPY stays above 545 or 540 for that matter, we are officially in the uptrend. We can see on the 1-hour chart, the 50-day, which is pink, has crossed over the 100 and the 200-day. 10 is above the 20. Almost everything is above the 200-day. Right now, the 100 is about to cross the 200. 50 has crossed. 50 has crossed over the 200-day average, so you can clearly see that the death cross is being reversed. The death cross actually happened back here, March 28th. So 1 month ago, we had the death cross, and it tried to break above here, and it failed. It officially did that today. We have crossed over, which means we are officially in the reversal. Now, is this guaranteed? No, you want to be safe. But based on technical analysis on the 1-hour chart, we've crossed over. 4 hours even stronger. So in the 4-hour, 10 has crossed over the 20, the 10 and the 20 have crossed over the 50, and they are trying to cross over the 100. If the 4-hour chart tomorrow shows the 10 and 20 crossing over the 100, and it shows the 50 getting closer on the 4-hour chart, that's much better. The moment we see the 10 and 20 and the 50 all cross over the 100, we are now even stronger into this reversal. Right now, we're in the beginning stages of it, but we need to see the 10 and the 20 go over the 100, which is step number 1, and then the 50 crossing over the 100, step number 2, and that right there is going to show us that we are officially in this reversal, but this 50-day average has to come up this way. So at the current rates, it would take until Tuesday or Wednesday. It's possible it could happen tomorrow, but we would need a price hike of about $15 more. So once SPY gets up around 555, whether it be tomorrow, Monday, or Tuesday, we've officially, at that point, we'll have seen the 50 cross over the 100, which means we are in an uptrend. And the moment that this 50-day right here comes up and crosses over the 200 on the 4-hour chart, we're already out of the reversal and we're in a bullish market, in an uptrend. I mean, technically speaking, that's already in process, but we're waiting for each confluence to play out. If you guys are enjoying this technical analysis, this is just a taste of what I'll be teaching tomorrow in the free masterclass webinar, tomorrow, April 25th, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. For the first time ever, I'm teaching elite coaching from my Discord in the masterclass webinar. Link is in the information box below. Very limited spots remain. And I'll have a huge announcement during this webinar, and I will also be answering your questions. I look forward to seeing you there. Register now. Meta, it's the same thing, 10 over the 20. They're both over the 200-day. The 50 just crossed over the 100, and the 10 and 20 have crossed over the 200 as well. We are in a complete reversal. You can see the downtrend here. Even if I was to draw this line out to more recently and even out to here, we have still broken the downtrend, meaning we are completely breaking the downtrend now and reversing. The market is doing well, barring any negative sentiment or news on tariffs. This market's only going to get better. If there's no news, it'll get better. If there's good news, it's going to get even better. We also have PMI services and PMI manufacturing data coming out the first week of May, so that's going to be very important and critical to pay attention to as well. Microsoft, same thing. 50 just crossed over the 100-day. The 50 just crossed over the 200-day. The 10 and 20 way above. We switch over to the 4-hour chart. Same exact thing. We are having divergence. Right now, we are on divergence to the 1-hour and 4-hour chart, which is critical. If this bullish run continues into tomorrow and into Monday, we are going to be neck high in this reversal and this bullish uptrend, which is great. We finally have established some bullish momentum in the market, and let's see if it can keep up this momentum because it's looking really strong. So this continues into tomorrow to the overnight hours and looks strong tomorrow. I recommend getting some positions in Google. In fact, I recommended Google, Microsoft, and Meta weeks ago and months ago, even before the crash. I told you guys that these are great stocks and they would do well, and this is just the beginning. Another little trick I want to teach you guys about is gauging the futures. What the futures do in the overnight hours is really indicative of what the market's likely to do on open. So if futures stays above 5506 on the MES, which is the micro E-mini S&P 500, if it stays above 5500 or 5530 and keeps pushing up from this level, then we are going to have a lot going on tomorrow, a lot of bullish activity is going to happen, a lot of volume, especially if the futures later on tonight gap up in the overnight hours. That would be very strong. Remember, guys, all of this was rigged. It's all psychology. If you hold good stocks and you have them for a long time, time plus good stocks equals money. There's also strategies, technicals, fundamentals, ways to evaluate a company to know which ones are good and better than others and where to put your money. There's a lot that goes into it, and I look forward to helping you guys achieve your goals of retirement, growing in the stock market, making passive income. If you guys are interested in learning my loss chasing, hedging strategies in a volatile and bearish market and how to prepare yourself for this reversal that we're in the middle of, I have my free webinar tomorrow, my masterclass webinar. For the first time ever, I am teaching exclusive knowledge from my elite coaching and Discord coaching. You guys don't want to miss it. Links in the information box below. Very limited spots remain. Tomorrow, April 25th, Friday, April 25th, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. I have a huge announcement. I'll be answering your questions over there and hanging out with you guys. I look forward to seeing you there. I will see you tomorrow at the webinar and on the next video. Take care of yourselves, fam.